Hi, everybody. Jackie Anding here. Happy Thursday to you. Just checking in with you, finding out how you're doing. I know that for most of you, you're have a great week. For those of you that aren't, that's why you're seeing me right now. And I want to talk to you about a subject that's very dear to me. It's called personal growth. I'm very, very passionate about it. And I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about a few things here. One of my mentors, which is John C. Maxwell, he has a great book. It's called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and it's just fantastic. And being able to work with him for many years, I wanted to talk to you just a wee bit on pain and being able to stretch. And I know those two things, first of all, um, they say the law of pain, anybody that can manage the law of pain, um, through the law of pain, they are able to grow and move so much farther ahead in their lives. And so I just kind of wanted to take a look at that. But I don't know how many of you have ever looked up personal growth. I mean, if you just go ahead and Google it on Google, you're going to find out there's like 44.5 million categories in personal growth. So there must be something about this personal growth that's magical, right? And it is. I've lived it for 16 years, and it's something that helps you move, it helps you grow, it helps you stretch. But when we talk about growth, we also talk about pain, right? And nobody likes to hear the word pain, right? We do everything we can in our power to avoid it, right? We don't want to deal with it. We talk about stretching. Well, nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone because in order to stretch, you got to get out of your comfort zone. So it's like, there's these athletes, they stretch their athlete muscles, right? Well, personal growth, we stretch our personal growth muscles. So today I want to go and grow with you. I'm not going to dive into everything as deeply as I would like to, but I am going to get into a few points here and talk about it. But growing pains, I mean, there's a life lesson that obviously that we know here, that tells us that when we experience growth, there's going to be some sort of pain. When we talk about the law of the rubber band, we're talking about stretching is the only thing that get us out of our comfort zone, right? And so the law of pain says good management of bad experiences. What does that mean? Well, that means it leads us to great growth and ultimately better personal equality and health too, because we're not stressed out so much. So obviously the law of pain is a tough pill to swallow because why? Because everybody naturally avoids pain. If I were to ask you right now, how many of you guys enjoy pain? And I could see a raise of hands, and you can put your comments below, you would most likely tell me, I don't like pain, right? I mean, there are folks that do nothing about pain, right? They don't deal with pain, right? They try to avoid it at all costs. There's others that actually embrace pain. They enjoy pain. I mean, not that they enjoy pain, but what I mean is they enjoy the process of the challenge of going through the pain. Okay, let me get that correct. They find it as a challenge. We call those people leaders, right? They find a challenge. They understand that bad experiences are only temporary. And what can you learn from that bad experience so you can move forward here, right? So as we move forward here, there's a quote in the book of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and it's by John McDonald. And he said that every problem introduces a person to himself. Every problem introduces a person to himself. And I think this is so true because the bottom line with the law of pain is that in order for us to get better at it, to go through bad experiences, we have to learn from them. And most of us just kind of try to shove it under the rug. Like I said, we do whatever we can to avoid it, or we do as minimally, as little as possible. And then there's leaders who do everything they can to embrace it. I remember when I have spoke the first time in front of a group of people, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was like, oh no. And I thought I was going to pass out. And I thought I had prepared enough, but obviously it was a bad experience. But I learned from the bad experience. I turned it into a positive, and I make sure that I have notes, just like I have notes beside me right now, just to make sure that I keep on task here and keep things flowing in the right way. So we've all had bad experiences. I know that you guys have probably heard the saying, life is full of ups and downs, right? Well, the problem with that is most people want ups, ups, ups. And hence that's where we get derailed because we do everything in our power to avoid a bad situation. And we never then learn from the bad situation. So we keep bringing it back around. instead of dealing with our feelings and our emotions that happen. So no one likes them. Obviously, I asked you all here today if you liked them, and if you could tell me and speak to me, you would say, oh, absolutely not. But it is important because we want to be able to continue to grow. Consider some pain faces, as we call them, the pain of being incompetent. Okay. Um, you know, um, People say all the time, I should have seen that coming. Or the pain of financial distress. If I could just get over this hurdle. Or the pain of not being number one. I'd be number one if it wasn't for. Or the pain of change. They should have listened to me. They should have listened to me. They don't know what they're doing. So we got these pain faces, right? And the pain of not being number one, the pain of being incompetent, the pain of financial distress. Um, when we go through these pain faces, we should keep a file on them. We shouldn't just tuck them away and forget about them. We should use them as a reference point so we can learn from them, so we can move forward from them. Okay. Positive things, guys, we may not see that experience in that particular given moment. But if we learn to, we can go ahead and take a positive life stance. Okay. And be able to then give ourselves a positive life sentence by finding the good and the bad. And if we do, we'll become better because of it. And you'll notice yourself being somebody totally different than you once were, including myself. I mean, I'm a work in progress here. But one way to embrace and develop creativity, there's a quote in the book by Neil Walsh that says, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Yeah, I jot that down. It's a powerful quote. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We use the gift of the bad experience to challenge ourselves, to find the good from it, and turn it into a positive life stance. So we embrace the bad experience. Okay. And there's a lot of value in that because you have a choice. You have a choice to, or you have a choice not to. It's said in life there are winners and there are losers. Well, in leadership, there are winners and there are learners. So one of the biggest pushes I get from moving forward is to be able to make good changes and learn from those bad experiences. Guys, a bend in the road is rarely the end of the road. And of course, unless you forget to turn, of course, but really the end of the road is rarely ever the end of the road. So we have an opportunity to focus in on our feelings about what has happened. That's what we do, rather than focusing on the thought and the action that can take us in a better direction. So next time you're faced with bad experiences, just remind yourself that you're on the cusp of change. Don't use the bad experience to derail you. Use it as a challenge, as a new beginning. And it takes some work, but I promise you can do it, and I promise you'll feel better because of it. Now, let me give you one more thing to think about related to the law of pain, directly connected to leadership. In other words, how do we do this? How do we apply this? Well, I'm going to give you some questions to go over this. I do professional mastermind groups as well. I don't have time to get into all of them, but here's some things to think about. How do you deal with pain? First question to ask self is awareness, right? The second question would be, do I do nothing to deal with it? Do I do as little as possible, or do I embrace it? Now, I know, quite frankly, you and I know people that do all three, but I want to help you to do that. I want you to think about where you are on the spectrum of how you view bad experiences. And if you can do that, then it can guide you into taking great advantage of growing in such ways as those painful experiences. So here's a couple things. Get input from others. That's number one. If you can get input from others, that is going to make a big difference. Identify specific desired change that you want to have, and then think about what positive change that can be an influence, not just an influence in you, but influencing others. Remember, above all, guys, personal growth requires action. I teach this all the time in my mastermind group. It requires action. And if you haven't been acting, then quite frankly, you've been avoiding. So personal growth is the guarantee to help you through those painful situations. And it's as simple and as difficult as that. So please don't let another painful experience go by without making it a learning experience and growing from it. Thanks so much for chiming into Jackie's 7.5 cents. I want you to have a very blessed day, and we'll see you on the next inspirational quote or guidance for the day, or whatever you want to call it. We're here to serve. Have a great day.